Motor Speedway here in Bristol, Tennessee. What a chaotic finish to the Craftsman Truck Series race here. Hunter McKinnon gets his first career Craftsman Truck Series win, and ironically, it shouldn't have happened like that. It looked like Urbane had the win in the bag. He definitely did. It looked like he was going to win the race. Spun out off a 2. Coming to the checkered flag, Hunter McKinnon got the win under caution. Anyways, here we go in the Cup race. Urbane is on the pole. Now, since the last race was not broadcast and you didn't get to see the memorial car for September 11th, Team Urbane has made the decision to run the car again this week. And without further ado, let's get this Food City 500 underway. So 250 laps, 500 miles. It was supposed to be 500, but we're underway. So like we mentioned, it was supposed to be 500 laps, but the league, of course, brought it down to 250 since it got the late start. They can and will do that from time to time, just to make sure that the race gets over at a, decent time. So we got 62 laps here in Stage 1. Normally the stages would be 125 apiece, then you'd have 250 to the final checkered flag. But because we cut the race in half, it's only going to be 250 laps. It was supposed to be tomorrow. The league decided we might as well get it in today. On the back of the car, you see the total number of victims from the tragic events, which marked 23 years, is what it marked back on the 11th since the events. Like we said, Urbane had the truck race until he didn't. He come around, took the white flag here. Then, all he had to do was navigate these 2 corners. Instead, he spun off a 2, crashed in the middle back here, went up the track a little bit. His teammate was able to get by, and his teammate ended up winning the race over him. And he was calm in his interview on the radio. As you see, Chase Elliott in 35th, he's the winner at Phoenix. Austin Dillon, last race winner at Atlanta, back there. But anyways, he was calm in his interview to the TV reporters, congratulated his teammate, because his teammate did just win his first career, race. But obviously a little frustrated in other interviews, being that he led the most laps out of that race. He only didn't lead. He didn't. One guy led 11, another guy led 7, and Ben Rhodes led 1. While Urbane led the rest, and obviously wasn't very happy in an interview with Bob Pockrass. Bob asked him essentially what we consider not a very wise question to ask somebody who just had their race end like that, especially after leading the most laps. He asked him, essentially, what was going through his mind, and Urbane a little frustrated about it, even though he didn't really need the win. He said, "What do you think's going through my mind, man? I spun out on the final lap when I was trying to win the race. All I had to do was make it through all 4 turns one more time, and I sold. So how do you think I'm feeling, man? I'm not feeling too great. That could have been my 3rd race in a row that I've won. Instead, I gave it up." In a pre-cup race interview with Bob Parkhurst, he was a little calmer. You know, he offered some empathy, sympathy, whatever you want to call it, to him. He said that he wasn't trying to get all upset with him, but at that point in time, he just felt like it wasn't really an appropriate time to ask a question like that. And now your focus has got to be on this race, right? You're the leader. You're lapping cars. You've already lapped up to 5th place. You got 4 cars ahead of you. You got to keep your mind on this race because you don't want to sell in this race. You know, he's looking for win number 4 in the Cup Series. You know, past 2 weeks it's been runner up. You know, runner up at Phoenix, runner up at Atlanta last week. Now it's focused on this race. You haven't won a race since Las Vegas. That was 3 races ago. Focus on getting yourself the win here, and then, you know what you do in the Truck Series? You just go and get redemption. Definitely still frustrating, though. No doubt about it. And we are 20 laps in to the Food City 500, and we will take you side by side. You won't miss a thing. Irvine's led them all, and working his way through the field again. It doesn't take long to catch up to lap traffic at a short track. .30 to go in stage 1. here at the last great Coliseum, and the king of the Coliseum himself, back to the truck race. Almost won stage 1 in the truck race. Spun out. Ended up 24th. Won stage 2. And proceeded to almost win the race, like we mentioned. And ended up spinning out on the final lap. Obviously a little frustrated at Bob Pockrush for his question at the time. But ahead are two cars that beat him and made him finish runner-up back-to-back weeks here in the Cup Series. Elliott winning 2 weeks ago at Phoenix, and Austin Dillon, who we just passed, winning at Atlanta last week on a great crossover move on the final restart of the race. And we already mentioned before that Urbane is running his September 11th memorial car again because you didn't really get to see it on track last week. So they thought they would bring it to Tennessee. So you got to look at it under the lights here at Bristol. He wanted to run a St. Jude car, since St. Jude is located here in Tennessee, and it's Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month, but he decided to run this car, and he said that even though, Austin Cindric got hooked, that's going to bring out the first caution. Anyways, he decided to run this car, and he said that even though they're not racing in Tennessee next week, they're racing at Circuit of the Americas, he'll just run the car there for Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. And then next month, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so imagining you're going to see some pink cars. I don't think he should have any problem winning this Cup race here. He definitely didn't have a problem winning the truck race until he did. Obviously wrecking on the final lap there. Got to put that behind you now, though. Like we mentioned, you got to shift your focus to this race, and then you got to shift your focus to the race next week. And since he is racing at Circuit of the Americas next week for Cup and at the Charlotte Roval for Xfinity and Trucks, he's also got to focus on the Formula One race at COTA. He won in his first career start last season in Formula One when he ran the race there at Circuit of the Americas. And now, he looks to do the exact same thing. Win again. He almost went undefeated in starts last season, but unfortunately some penalties at the Miami Grand Prix got him a 7th place finish instead of 1st, even though he technically was the first car to cross the line. He's moving cars out of his way. As we got 11 to go in the stage. He has an interim crew chief tonight. His crew chief had to step aside for this race. He's had to step aside for the last couple races. As now he looks to win the opening stage. You're at the last great Coliseum. He's led every lap of the stage, and he gets into the 81 of Christopher Bell. That's the second caution this race. As we go back to green. Final lap, stage 1. Nobody's around, and they're all a lap down anyway. So the 20 crew of Urbane, how about this? It's a stage win. Off turn 4 he comes, green and white checkered in the air for stage 1. So it's Urbane, Chastain, Blaney, Barry, Keselowski, John Hunter Nemechek, Wallace, Allmendinger, McDowell, and Christopher Bell, the top 10 that stage. And here's a pit stop at the end of stage 1 for him. Now, we will not be keeping you guys up all night because this race will be over. Before you know it, we're already through stage 1. We'd be, if we were doing the full 500, we'd already be pretty much getting to the end of stage 1. But anyways, back to green we go. Back underway, stage 2. Again, 62 laps. Urbane forces Busch up into his teammate Gibbs. Up the track goes Briscoe as well. Trying to stay above that line. It's hard at a place like Bristol to stay up above that line. He's got cars in the wall. Hold on to it, everybody. It's going to be a parking lot here if you don't. Ooh, the 20 got loose there. And around he goes, but look at that. What a slide. And he gets going again, so there's no caution. That's probably got to be the craziest thing I've ever saw with my eyes. Coming to complete 6 laps of 62 now here in stage 2. Back in 2021, he became just the second driver in history of NASCAR to lead every lap in a race. He's done that quite a few times over the past few seasons, and he led all 500 laps at Martinsville, the paperclip, and around goes Tyler Reddick. That's the third caution of the night, folks. Or actually the fourth. As we go back to green, Tyler Reddick enters 10th, though. These cautions, you know, will shorten the night as well. And we mentioned, we go from this short track race to a road course next week in Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. It's going to be a fun week in Austin. We got Formula One, and we got the Cup Series, and I think, now that I think about it, the Truck and Xfinity might both have an off week next week. So there might be an off week for both of those. They might not run the Roval for 2 weeks. I'll have to check. We'll check at the end of the race. Looking to avoid caution number 5 until the end of this stage. But with the field all being lapped and bunched up like this, it's going to be difficult. 77 of Carson Hosfar getting loose there. The 10 of Noah Gregson getting shoved on the back of Logano. They're pulling on the line. McDowell sends it down in front of the 20, and he's going to get turned down off the track. It looks like he will get it going again, so no caution there. What a start to this race, ladies and gentlemen. We had 2 cautions in stage 1. 1 to end stage 1. So far, 1 here in stage 2. And we know we're at least going to get 1 to end the stage. Last year's spring race was 250 laps here as well, and it was on dirt. This season it's back on the concrete. And it was supposed to be 500 laps, but it's now been cut down to 250 because of the late start. And they were originally going to run this race on Tuesday. We would have did all 500 laps. But they don't want to do that because the truck race at Atlanta got ran so late in the week last week because they had to keep moving it back because of some rain and stuff, that they don't want to race on a Tuesday. They want to get this in tonight with the weather being clear. You know, sure, it might be late before most of these fans get out of here. And they told all the fans, look, you know, if you had tickets for the races yesterday, because they were supposed to be yesterday, come on out for the day. You know, watch both of the races. And the stands are still as packed as they were earlier tonight. And they're in the wall again. Oh, look at that. The bump on Elliott and the run. We've seen the bump and run before. He did it at Sonoma to Michael McDowell for the race win after he somehow ran him down. And now we can see that the 20 is not afraid to bump and run you out of his way. He's already in the playoffs with 3 wins, but he's racing for a regular season title. Kind of like, you know, we keep bringing this up, and Tyler Reddick cleans himself out again. That is going to be the 5th caution. Green flag. So far 2 cautions in each stage, but what we were saying is he's trying to win the regular season title in all 3 series, right? I mean, the truck series, he definitely would have increased his chances with that win tonight. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him too much, but however, he still remains first in the standings because he is the only driver to have more than 1 win on this young season in the Craftsman Truck Series. The only other full-time drivers to have wins is now Hunter McKinnon because he won tonight after Urbane wrecked, and Matt Crafton. Matt Crafton winning the season opener at Daytona. Then we had a part-time driver win in the second race of the season at Sonoma. And then Las Vegas and Atlanta for trucks, Urbane managed to pull off a win and almost had it tonight, which we mentioned Hunter won tonight's truck race. And for the past 2 weeks in the Cup Series, Urbane has finished runner-up, almost had 5 wins to open up the season. As this is race number 6. looking for his 4th Cup win of the season. He's moving cars out of his way. Oh, caution is out. And we are back to green. Coming to the end of stage 2. So far, in all 3 of Urbane's wins this season, he has swept the stages. Looking to do it for the 4th time this season. He won stage 1 at Phoenix, won stage 2 at Atlanta. Looking for this to be his first race since Vegas with a sweep of the stages. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I like the odds of him winning over these next couple of weeks. He's just good at these tracks. I think he jumps out to a crazy lead in the standings here in the Cup Series early. Well, I tell you what, I know one thing's for sure. When this race ends tonight, you know, I believe that there is not a truck race or Xfinity race next week. And now that I think about it, they might have an off week. If they don't, when this checkered flag flies and you celebrate this win, you then need to shift your focus back to the truck series, right? Because you're going to have to race, you know, in the truck race. You're going to have to race in Xfinity. Xfinity should be your second priority. Then you shift focus to Formula One. Then you shift your other focus to Cup. But you shift back to the truck series. Be like, okay, how do we get redemption for what happened tonight? Right? I mean, we obviously wrecked on the final lap with a huge shot to win and win our 3rd race in a row, and we didn't get it because we wrecked. How do we bounce back from that? That should be what's going through your mind over the course of this week or the next, 2 weeks for that. But obviously, you have to pay attention to the Cup race too. And Formula One races at Circuit of the Americas too, right? Because, I mean, you're running those races. You want wins in those. In reality, the wins matter the most in Cup. Looking for his 102nd career Cup win. He got his 101st at Las Vegas, which was his last win. And got his 100th at Sonoma. So he's looking for career win 102. As we're on the final lap of stage 2. And he's going to ride the high side all the way around off turn 4 and win stage 2. So he sweeps the stages. So he is 4 starts away from having 150 career Cup starts. He is 4 away from that. And we will tell you what race will be his 150th career start. As he pits here, as we enter the final stage now. This time taking some damage repair to that car, which I don't think there really is any to repair. And here we go, back to green, final stage underway, 126 to go. Fun fact, that would bring us to just the end of stage number 1. This right here would bring us to the end of stage 2 if we were doing the full 500 laps. So he doesn't get the truck win. We've mentioned that like plenty of times now, but you're probably going to hear us mention it throughout the rest of the broadcast. It only makes sense to get the win in the bigger series. Win your 4th race of the season. Let's talk a little bit more about his truck series. So he opened up the season with back-to-back good, but kind of frustrating, finishes, right? I mean, Daytona wasn't really frustrating for him. He said, all I want is stage points and a good finish. He got that. He got 4th at Daytona. But then, again a week later, finishes 4th at Sonoma on the first road course race of the season. So, Circuit of the Americas will be the 2nd for Cup, but that's irrelevant. And he was kind of stressed out after that race. He thought that he had, as that's the 8th caution, somebody got foot in the wall there. He thought he had an okay shot at maybe getting up there to be able to contend for the win. Didn't happen that way for him. Finally, a week later, despite spinning out on literally lap number 1, he manages to get a win. He wins at Las Vegas, holding off Hunter McKinnon, his teammate, who finished 3rd, to Ben Rhodes, who finished 2nd. He held off Ben Rhodes and Hunter McKinnon. Atlanta Motor Speedway, again, holds off Ben Rhodes for the 2nd straight week. Hunter McKinnon finishes 31st. And out there racing earlier tonight, Hunter said that himself, he did not think they had any shot to win. In fact, if that didn't happen, he was not going to get his first career win tonight at Bristol. So, if you're gonna think something, I would be thinking the fact that your boss spun out off the corner, off turn number 2, while in the lead on the final lap, and not with 2 to go. Because if he spins out with 2 to go, that brings out the caution, and there's another restart. Now, if that was the case, we seen that Urbane obviously had better restarts on the high side. So if that was the case, that puts Urbane on the high side. But you still got to make it the final 2 laps without spinning out. And unfortunately, it wasn't with 2 to go. He spun out on the final lap in the final corner. And unfortunately, did not get that win, but he got to watch his driver get his first career Craftsman Truck Series win. And while it's kind of, it kind of bums you out because you were that close, led the most laps, and then you just wreck on the final lap, literally getting ready to enter the final corners. That's kind of stressful. Now, if that would have happened on the front stretch, he definitely would have won that race. If you wreck coming off a 2, you're probably going to spin out a couple of times, but you would easily make it to the start-finish line. but he wrecked on the backstretch. And if he wanted any shot of winning, he definitely would have needed that caution to come out quicker than it did. As you see him driving his way through the field, there's going to be a lot of contact once the leader enters the field. We know we're going to get some more cautions. There's going to be more cautions. We had 8 cautions here. A total of 16 in the truck race earlier tonight. Cautions have bred cautions here at Bristol Motor Speedway. And if you think this is the end of the short tracks, think again. Because there's still 2 straight weeks of short tracks coming up on the schedule, and the 20 turns himself around again, but does the... No, this time he's in the wall. Gonna get himself back going again, and the 9th caution does come out for him. So that's exactly what happened, essentially, on that last restart in the truck race. Just got spun out, turned into the wall. Now, like was mentioned in the post-race interview, you know, if he spun and went into that outside wall, he definitely would have held on. But it's just an unfortunate circumstance that happened. But look at this. I don't think he really cares about what happened there, because the head looks clear right now. He's won both stages, and now just has to hang on for these final laps. We still got quite a few to run, but just has to hang on for these, and he's got it. It's going to be at least 1 to 2 more times pitting, I believe, before the end of this thing. Now, back to the truck series again. I'm sure people are probably getting irritated of hearing this, but we're gonna talk. It's racing. We're gonna talk about all 3 of the series. We got those short tracks coming up, like we mentioned. You cannot make the same mistake you made here tonight, right? You got to be a little more patient on the throttle, because more than likely, you know, the 20's like, no, I have a big gap. You know, I could probably just put my foot back on the accelerator here. Not exactly how it works. You got to be careful. You got Richmond and Martinsville. Martinsville, you definitely want to be careful. But also, Martinsville is a little more narrower. So meaning if a wreck like that happens on the final lap, you're probably going to end up winning, because there's nowhere for the other people to go. But Richmond, it's not... It's a short track. It's kind of like Bristol, but not really. It's a D-shaped version of this track, I guess you could say, and an asphalt version of this track, and that's going to bring out the 10th caution. But anyway, Richmond, you know, there's definitely plenty of room for redemption. So, here's the best thing you can do. Don't let it bother you. Know that another driver, you know, had an issue, still got a 3rd place finish, and that you still got a runner-up finish out of it. You know, just know that. But know going into as the 11th comes out now, but just know going into these other short tracks, okay, this is what happened at Bristol. I don't want this to happen again. And just run the race how you ran tonight. You know, you ran well minus all the spin-outs. Run it how you ran when you didn't spin out, and you got it. Redemption. And like we said, there's another truck Bristol race So get redemption in that one. Plenty of room to bounce back. Stressful? Yes. But can you let it bother you? No, because you need to keep your head on straight for the rest of the season, regular season. Because you're trying to win that title. You're getting, each week we do a race. We're getting closer. It's hard to believe. This is race number 6 on the season so far. We got 10 races, including the All-Star weekend at Richmond, left on our schedule for our broadcast of the Cup Series season. Then it switches over to Twitch for the last 10 regular season races and the last 10 playoff races of the season. So it's hard to believe. We got just 10 weeks remaining on here, including, and technically, well, we got 11 weeks left on here because you got to include All-Star weekend. Which All-Star Weekend is going to be exciting if you're Urban, because you're running the you're going to attempt the 1100-mile doubleheader. You're going to run the Indy 500, and then later that night you're going to climb into your car for 400 laps at the Charlotte Motor Speedway and the Coca-Cola 600, hoping to complete both races. You have to complete both races without, or in order to successfully complete the 1100-mile doubleheader. You cannot crash and DNF in a single race. You have to finish the race. And it doesn't even, that should bring out the 12th. Nope, it's not. But, you gotta run them right, you know? I'm not, you don't have to go out there and win the Indy 500 in your first start. But you need to go out there, you need to finish the race at all costs. Even if you finish dead last, you need to finish the race. Then, you need to climb in your car at Charlotte, and you need to finish that race as well. So 11 cautions in this race so far. And you know, tonight the guys got lucky. They're going halfway tonight, which is 250. They would still have 250 laps to run if we were running all 500. Still plenty of racing left to do, though. We actually got 60 to go in the race. And now 59 laps to go. And since we haven't got a shot to do it yet because of all the cautions in the final stage, we will take you side by side for the final time on, or after we complete, once we get to lap 70. And Noah Gregson got turned around there. We're still green. There it is, caution. And we're going to take you side by side. You won't miss a thing. Actually, you know what? We'll do that on lap 80 since it restarted on 75. Alright, 50 to go this time by. And there it is, 50 to go. .204 of 250 laps complete, and we will finally take you side by side. You won't miss a thing. No, 36, excuse me, laps to go as we welcome you back to the Food City 500 here from the Bristol Motor Speedway. The 20, he's led them all. Swept the stages. Looking to finish the deal. Can he do it this time? Getting on the wall these past couple times, though. That's not going to help you any. And looks like he might be coming down pit road. as we now have 23 laps to go. He's going to get 4 fresh Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel, and this will be the last time he has to fill up the car and put tires on it for the rest of the race. I don't blame him for staying out and running as many laps as he can. You want to run it down. You have a clean advantage. Run it down to where there's no time for them to do pretty much anything. And as they come off of turn 4, we have 30 to go in the Food City 500. We've already raced into Tuesday morning in the Truck and Cup Series. Got to get these cars back to the shops, get them ready to go by tomorrow, get them down to Austin. And at the end of the race, stay tuned because we'll do a brief post-race show. Along with the next few races and some stats. And we will let you know when exactly the Truck and Xfinity races again. I think it's in 2 weeks. .25 to go. Now it's getting down to the wire. But, I mean, if you're one of these lap cars, which is pretty much everybody, you can't really do anything except stay on the gas and continue to drive forward and just try to finish this race. Everybody is still in the race. Nobody is out of the race. Oh, the 15 got hooked and the 20 went in the wall. That's the 13th caution. Actually, the 12th. As we are back to green. With less than 20 laps to go. And how about I crank it up? less than 16 laps to go. Actually, it is 12 to go, 11 to go right now at the line. Well, it's not a sweep of the night, which would have been sweet, but how about this? You dominate both races, essentially. Just one of them you didn't finish the deal in as we get the 10 to go signal. Seven laps to go. And you're already catching back up to lap traffic. Well, in the truck race, he saw this as the leader, which is the 5 to go signal right now. And a caution before he could even get back around to the white, because he would have had to run 4 more laps. But before he could make it to the white, caution comes out. And because he hadn't had good restarts, because he kept spinning out, it happens again. And unfortunately, as we now have 3 to go, didn't work out for him there, but it is okay. Keep your head up here, because what a drive. This is his 146th career start, and it's going to be career win 102. Just has to run a couple more laps here. Oh, we get a 13th caution, and we're going to overtime. So how overtime works, it's a 2-lap shootout, green-white checkered finish. If the leader takes the white flag under green, the next flag ends the race. Caution prior, we re-rack them and restart them, and it's unlimited attempts until a winner is declared. Here we go. Urban on the inside, Gregson on the outside, green flag. Can the 20 crew finish the deal this time? Alright, so far, this is what happened in the truck race. He sees the white flag, 1 lap to go, presented by Urban Woodworking. Does he finish the deal this time? This is exactly where he spun out at, coming off the final corner. Why are they pitting? As he heads down the backstretch for the final time, it has been proven that he can win here at the last Great Coliseum, and he does. Urban wins at Bristol, while everyone else is diving into the pits for some reason. So it is Urban, Blaney, Allmendinger, Chastain, Wallace, Burton, McDowell, Keselowski, Gilland, and Busher, the top 10. Chase Elliott, how about that? 11th place finish. Austin Dillon got 29th, so that's better than they started. But let's take a look at Victory Lane, then we'll get the burnout done for you. Then we'll get the talk about the next few races, and talk about the stats, and send you on your merry way. Alright, so if you remember how we do our burnouts, basically we just make it a 2% race, make us the only car on the track, And then we go out and do one cool down lap and then the burnout.
We're here at Bristol Speedway for the final race in the round of 16 in the
Yeah, it's not the playoffs yet, Alex. We have to do this race, though, because this is the 2022 season roster. And in 22, they ran the dirt, not the concrete, so... What a win for this crew, though. Dominant fashion. And just for the second time in his career, he leads every lap at a short track. He has led every lap in previous races, but he's only done it twice at the short tracks. His last time doing it was 3 seasons ago, when he led every lap of the NASCAR Cup Series race in the playoff race at Martinsville. And leaves it right there for you fans to see. Urbane gets her done here at the Last Great Coliseum. And let's take a look at the stats, and then we'll talk about the next few races. So the stats. In the Truck Series, he has reached 99 career wins. That was made possible at Atlanta last week in the Truck Series, 145 starts. In the NASCAR Xfinity Series, he has 102, we're wrong. He has 104 career wins. Because he won at Vegas and Phoenix. And he has 145 starts there as well. In the Cup Series, he has 102 career Cup wins in 146 starts. So there's that for you. Now let's take a look at the next few races. Alright, so starting with the Truck Series. Hunter McKinnon wins that one, obviously, tonight here at Bristol. Locking himself into the playoffs. And since evidently they were supposed to, or no. Yeah. So basically, because the schedule got thrown off with that race break in the middle of the season, there was supposed to be the Charlotte Roval race for the Truck and Xfinity Series. Unfortunately, that one's going to have to not happen this season, and we're going to have to update the amount of races in the season. So that drops the regular season races from 19 down to 18. and that means there's only 25 truck races this season. So the next truck race is at Richmond, and that will be it looks like that is not this Friday. Let me fix up these schedules real quick, guys. And then we'll let you know the next 4 races for all 3 series. Alright, so we mentioned that the Charlotte Roval regular season date for the Xfinity and Truck Series was not going to happen this season. So, if it says Circuit of the Americas for Cup, there is an off week for the Xfinity and Truck Series, which is exactly what it says. So, next weekend, which is the 27th through the 29th, there will be no Xfinity or truck races. That's an off week for both. There will only be Formula One and Cup from Circuit of the Americas in Austin. Then a week after that, NASCAR Xfinity Series and Truck Series action resumes with race number 1 from Richmond. So, the next 4 Craftsman Truck Series races, not this upcoming weekend, but the first weekend in October, not November. The next 4 races are Richmond, Martinsville, Texas, and Dover. So we got the other 2 short tracks. Then we got Texas, which is a 1.5 mile D-shaped oval. Then we got Dover, which it's kind of like a bigger edition of Bristol, and it's a concrete track. So those are the next 4 races for the Craftsman Truck Series. The next 4 for the Xfinity Series is Richmond, Martinsville, Texas again. Or Texas, and then Dover again. Now the next 4 for the Cup Series includes this weekend's race at Circuit of the Americas. So it's Circuit of the Americas, Richmond, Martinsville, and Texas. And if you're including the next 5, Talladega and Dover. So there is another for the Xfinity and Truck Series. After Texas, there is another off week as the Cup Series will be racing at Talladega, and the Xfinity and Trucks don't go there during the regular season this season. So there will be another off week after Texas for the Xfinity and Truck Series. So if you're including the next 5 races for Cup, it's Talladega, but the next 4 are Coda, Richmond, Martinsville, and Texas. Circuit of the Americas is happening this weekend, Sunday, September 29th, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on FoxTube TV. And the Formula One race will probably be on Monday from Circuit of the Americas. And then, as we enter the first week of October, Friday the 4th is the next truck race. That's Richmond. Saturday the 5th is the next Xfinity Series race, and that being at Richmond as well. So for Xfinity and trucks, they got a week off, so they'll enjoy. They don't have to race again for 2 weeks. Cup Series will resume action on Sunday for their second road course race of the season. And with that, we say so long, everybody. Urban gets it done at he got it in the Cup Series. So long, everybody.